Hi students, today we are going to learn statistics. Today's lesson will be focusing on mean and standard deviations for the group data. Let's get started with the class right now. Have fun! A survey on the duration of time in hours spent by customers to buy goods in a supermarket is carried out. The results of the survey are shown in the ogive on the right. As you can see, time spent by customers is the title of the ogive. So we need to construct a frequency table for the time taken by the customers to buy goods in the supermarket using the classes 0.5 to 0.9, 1.0 to 1.4, 1.5 to 1.9, 2.0 to 2.4, and 2.5 to 2.9. And B, hence, estimate the mean and standard deviation of the data. So let's get it done. We are going to construct a frequency table from the ogive. We are going to do reverse way. Before that, you have to construct the ogive given the data. Now you have to form the data cumulative frequency table from the ogive, right? So let's have a look at the ogive. We can see that we are having time in hours for the upper boundary, and then the cumulative frequency representing customer who buy the goods in a supermarket. So from the upper boundary and also the cumulative frequency, we can get the information, right? So let's start with the construct a frequency table for the time taken by the customers to buy goods in the supermarket using the classes of 0.5 to 0.9, 1.0 to 1.4, 1.5 to 1.9, 2.0 to 2.4, and 2.5 to 2.9. So let's focus to the upper boundary. As you can see, the upper boundary is times in hours. So we are going to start with the first column. We will use an upper boundary to read the times in hour, but we need to write in class interval. And for number of customers, beware that this is not cumulative frequency. We need to interpret the frequency. So let's copy down the class interval 0.5 to 0.9, and then 1.0 to 1.4, and 1.5 to 1.9, and 2.0 to 2.4, and 2.5 to 2.9. So we are going to read the frequency from the cumulative frequency. So I suggest you draw the horizontal line like this. Okay, use a dashed line until it touches the ogive, and then you read the cumulative frequency. This is cumulative frequency, but the title that we wrote there is number of customers. Number of customers is frequency. It's not the cumulative frequency. But of course, the first one is always the same. Cumulative frequency and frequency the same. But for the second class interval, we are going to draw another line, right? We are going to draw another line from 1.0 to 1.4. Okay, so let's work it out. We are going to go to the ogive, and we will draw the horizontal line from the second upper boundary, which is if you read, is above 20, and there are 5 boxes representing 10, so one box is 2. So the scale for a small box is 2, so it's 22. So this is not frequency yet, this is a cumulative frequency, so we always have to minus, right? 22 minus 6. Just now it was the same 6 because 6 minus 0. Now is 22 minus 6. You are doing reverse way. Before that we keep on adding, right? So now we will minus back. So 22 minus 6, we will get 16, right? So the class interval for 1.0 to 1.4 is 16 or 16. And then followed by, we will read another one, which is upper boundary 1.5. We will draw the horizontal line from 1.5. Blue line, can you see that? And we are going to read the cumulative frequency, which is 50, and then there are 2 boxes above the 50. So one box is 2, so 2 boxes is 4. So it's 54, but that is not the frequency, that is cumulative frequencies. So in order to find the frequency, we need to take the 54 minus 22, right? So the answer is 54 minus 22, we will get answer is 32, right? 32. So for 1.5 to 1.9 itself, we have 32 customers, right? For the time 1.0 to 1.4, we have 16 customers. Now we are going to do from 2.0 to 2.4, we go to the upper boundary 2.45, draw the horizontal line, and we read the cumulative frequency was 70. So we are going to minus out 54 to get the frequency for the class interval 2.0 to 2.4. So 70 minus 54, we will get the answer for the frequency is 16, right? 70 minus 54 is 16. So that means the number of customers, okay, falls between class 2.2.4 is 16 or 16 customers. So the time taken for the customer from 2.5 to 2.9, so we go to 2.45, we read the cumulative frequency, and it was 80, so we need to minus out 80. So the frequency that we get will be 80 minus 70, so we will get the frequency was 10, right? There are 10 customers, spend the time 2.5 to 2.9 hours at the supermarket, right? So that is how you read the frequency from the ogive. Remember that from the ogive, it was cumulative frequency. So in order to find the frequency, you need to minus out from the previous cumulative frequency. All right. Okay, from the time in hours, we have the class interval, and for a number of customers, we have the frequency. So now we need to find the mean for the group data. So we need the midpoint, right? For the mean, we need to find the midpoint. So we need to find the midpoint first before we can use a formula for the mean. Now let's try to add one more column so that we can find the midpoint for each of the class interval. So for the midpoint, still remember is lower limit plus the upper limit divided by 2. Okay, so let's add one more column for the midpoint. And I'm going to write the formula for the midpoint for you. midpoint is given by the lower limit plus upper limit divided by 2. Right, so we will take 0.5 plus 0.9 divided by 2 for the first class interval. And then for the second class interval, we will do the same. It's either you do for the first, and then you can use the size of the class to plus for the next one. So let's plus the 0.5 plus 0.9 divided by 2, we will get 0.7. As you can see from the lower limit, in order to get the midpoint, you need to plus 0.2, right? Meaning that each of the midpoint, you will use the lower limit plus 0.2. So we will take 1.0 plus 0.2 to get 1.2 for the midpoint. For the third one, also the same. It applies for all the class interval. We will use the lower limit plus 0.2. So for the third one, it will be 1.5 plus 0.2. So we will get 1.7. Or else you have to take 0.7 plus the size of the class, which is 0.5, right? Okay, so 2.0 plus 0.2 is 2.2, and 2.5 plus 0.2 is 2.7. So after we form the cumulative frequency with the frequency and the midpoint, then only we can find the mean easily. So the last midpoint was 2.7. Now let's try to estimate the mean and the standard deviation of the data. So the mean of the data was given by the formula midpoint times with the frequency plus another midpoint times with the frequency plus so on and so forth over the total frequency. In short, we say it's summation of the f times with the x over summation of the f. So let's do it now. We will move on to find the mean. So the mean, if you use a table, it's easy. You can just focus to the frequency and the midpoint, and then you multiply carefully and systematically. So we'll copy down all the midpoints: 6, 16, 32, 16, 10. Okay, we'll copy down all the midpoint: 0.7, 1.2, 1.7, 2.2, and 2.7. The blue one was the frequency, and the green one was midpoint. So we will actually multiply them. 6 times 0.7 plus 16 times 1.2 plus 32 times 1.7 plus 16 times 2.2 plus 10 times 2.7. And we need to divide by the total frequency, which is the total number of customers. So we will plus 6 with 16, with 32, with 16, and 10. So we sum up all the frequency. So the formula for midpoint is sum for the frequency times with the midpoint over sum of the frequency. So let's add up all the frequency. 6 plus 16 plus 32 plus 16 plus 10. So we will find the mean by using the calculator. Please always press your calculator twice. Alright, so the answer for the mean is 1.75 hours. So with the mean, we can proceed to find the standard deviation, because when we want to find the standard deviation, we need the mean for the data, right? So the formula for standard deviation for the group data is given by sum of the fx squared over sum of the f minus mean square, and then we need to square root the answer, right? Because if you never square root, that will be variance. So if we want to find the standard deviation, we need to square root it. So let's go to the table, and then we will focus to the midpoint and the frequency, and we will take the frequency, which is in blue color, times with the midpoint square 1 by 1. Okay, remember that is frequency multiplied by midpoint square, only midpoint square. Frequency no square. So we will times with the bracket 0.7 square plus 16 bracket 1.2 square plus 32 bracket 1.7 square plus 16 bracket 2.2 square plus 10 bracket 2.7 square, and then we will divide by total frequency, which is 6 plus 16 plus 32 plus 16 plus 10, and then we need to minus out the mean square. So the answer is, for the total frequency, we need to plus 6 plus 16 plus 32 plus 16 plus 10. Right, then don't forget to minus out the midpoint square, which is 1.75 square. So it's very important to find the right mean because it will affect your standard deviation. Right, so we will square root the answer. For standard deviation, remember to square root the whole thing. In order to get the standard deviation, the answer must be square root, right? So always double check the answer because the working is very long, and you will get the answer is 0.55 hours. So the answer that you get must be double check, press your calculator twice to get the same answer, 0.55 hours. So that is how you work out the mean and standard deviation for a group data. A group data means a data that are arranged in class interval with the frequency table. So that's all my sharing for today. Till then, I shall see you in my next video lesson. Bye bye and have a nice day.